Welcome to the Biohackers World Conference and Expo. I am so excited because I'm sitting here with Angie, who is the Vice President of the Braincode Centers. And one of the reasons I'm so excited to chat with you today is as a sex scholar. I have so many people who come to me with issues in confidence, imposter syndrome, and those are incredible things that you help clients with all the time. And it is through this neurological framework that you have created that's so powerful. Can you share a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely. So Braincode Centers, first off, we're one of the largest neurofeedback companies in the country. And we do brain mapping and neurofeedback treatment. So a brain map is a quantitative electroencephalogram, similar to an EEG, except that we're not only looking for structural damage. We're looking at the neurological and the electrical wave activity happening. And literally everything is going to show itself to us in neurological wave activity. Anxiety, depression, irritability, trauma, PTSD, brain injuries. So that's how we start. And it really is to figure out exactly where these things are coming from in the brain, right? It's not that they're not happening. We know that they are. We just need to know what the neurological patterns are so that we can utilize the neurofeedback treatment to essentially rewire the brain, to retrain it to self-regulate, to create new neural pathways, to essentially try to eliminate the unfavorable symptomology that that person is experiencing.
I love that. And so if someone was trying to deal as an adult, which so many of us are, like re-heal confidence, re-heal especially that imposter syndrome, because something that's so fascinating about confidence is external, self-esteem is internal. Most people don't even realize that those are two different things. If someone were to come to the Braincode Centers and this is something they're looking for, what would you tell them?
So I actually have heard that many times, and usually it's kind of in congruence with other things going on, right? That, hey, I'm struggling with some self-confidence, possibly also some anxiety, possibly also some depression. You know, there's usually kind of a multifaceted thing going on. So we really need to know exactly where all of those patterns are coming from. So we're going to start with a brain map. First off, Rachel and myself, my business partner, we're both licensed professional counselors. So yes, we're coming from this from a neurological standpoint, also from an emotional, psychological standpoint. So we start with a brain map to see exactly what's going on. All humans are capable of producing the same brainwaves, delta, deep sleep, theta, drifting into sleep. Alpha is a receptor that kind of helps move the brain around, beta, clean energy, high beta, fight or flight. Now, somebody who very specifically was like, hey, self-esteem, like that's what's going on. Is that going to come from one pattern in the brain? No, it's not. It's probably going to come from multiple, right? That possibly that person has excess high beta wave activity happening in the brain, which is going to cause anxiety, irritability, defense mechanisms, hypervigilance, right? If that person is kind of living in a state of fight or flight, absolutely, they probably walk into a social setting and it's overwhelming or overstimulating, right? I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. That sounds deeply unenjoyable. Someone else might be producing some excess theta wave activity. It makes it hard for them to stay focused, feel motivated, to be able to do any type of task completion. So it's probably coming from, a multitude of different patterns in different people. The brain map is really going to show us, okay, here's where it's coming from. Then we are huge on education. So we're going to talk to that person about, hey, here's what we're seeing. Does this feel congruent for you? If someone has a lack of alpha wave activity in the brain, so alpha gives us safety and security. And usually we develop that in early childhood. So if I saw a lack of alpha, I might say, hey, tell me about your early developmental, nuclear family. What was that like? Did you feel safe? Did you feel supported? Did you feel secure? Oftentimes, if they don't have alpha, I'm going to get, kind of a mixed bag of answers. Well, I had an absent parent, or, this happened, or this trauma, was experienced. So let's address it there. And then the actual neurofeedback treatment is truly operant conditioning of the brain. It is reward-based training. So we're teaching the brain.
I love reward-based training. Oh my gosh, continue. Yes.
No, that's exactly right. That kind of that, Pavlovian response, right? Puppy with treat, that is how we're able to teach the brain. So that person, we're going to create a series of individualized protocols for them so that they can, whether remotely, often people are doing it remote, we have a remote headset, or if they're coming into one of our in-person clinics, that way they can learn to train their brain.
I love that. And something with rewards-based learning that is so important is we do it with kids. Like you said, we do it with animals. And then all of a sudden, we just stop doing it with ourselves and with other adults. Absolutely. And it's so fascinating because I'll also see so many adults and I'm like, if you just do this little reward rewards-based training thing. And they're like, what? Give myself a treat? And I'm like, well, when was the last time you gave yourself a treat for doing the annoying thing, the obligation thing, and then the responsibility, right? I love that. And I love that personal approach. I think that's something that's so often missing when we are seeking help from more mainstream normative venues like therapy, which I love therapy. Everyone should be in therapy. But therapy, even your regular doctor, in fact, even your OBGYN and urologist, they don't have any sex ed training. So oftentimes I'll get people and they'll be like, my gynecologist didn't help me. And I'm like, well, they weren't trained for that. For sure. And so that's why what we do is so important. And what I love, like that person first approach, and that we start with the brain mapping, which is also so cool. What are some things that you have experienced, like through this research, through this work that you've seen that are just like would blow people's minds? Big question, right?
Big question, because honestly, I think that, you know, what we get to do every day is so mind-blowing. One thing that you said earlier that I thought, you know, right when you said, I was like, yes, is kind of that approach where it really is like software versus hardware, right? That the counseling, again, everybody should be in counseling. Counseling is amazing, but counseling, meditation, you know, all these other things are more like software updates on a computer. And hey, if you need a software update, let software update all day long. If we have a hardware issue, a software update really isn't going to address that. That's what neurofeedback is, getting into the neurology, getting into the hardware. So, I mean, gosh, the amount of things that I've seen. So we treat, you know, we specialize in traumatic brain injuries. I have seen people who went from being relatively nonverbal to being able to verbalize again. Like, I mean, I've seen the most incredible life transformation changes. A niche population that we work with is kids with like early developmental trauma who have been adopted, things like that, inner utero trauma, who go from, you know, experiencing things like reactive attachment disorder to being able to attach to people. I could go on and on and on about client changes that I was in clinical for many years. Now I get to do all of our business development and marketing, and I get to teach people about neurofeedback, which I absolutely love. But the client care side of it is so special.
Oh, I bet. And like most people don't know, your brain is your biggest sex organ. So if you have sex questions, you can also go to the Braincode Center.
Oh my! I have people come in all the time who have anxiety around sex, who have low libido. There's so many different, and we often don't think it's neurological, right? Angie, I've gotten all my hormones checked, they're normal. Okay, yeah, so it's not coming from a hormonal kind of neck down situation or issue, right?
Right.
But often we forget, like neck up, your brain controls absolutely everything. So if your brain is not online and in gear, you're gonna have a lot of issues neck down.
Absolutely. Oh, I love this. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Yes.
Where can people find out more about your center and how to work with you guys and how to become clients? Because I'm sure you all want to become clients now.
Listen, you can find us. Our Instagram is @Braincode Centers. We would love to chat with you. We do 100% free consultation. So it will never cost anyone something to learn more about neurofeedback and what the options are for them. Listen, if neurofeedback is not a great fit, let's talk about it. If it is a great fit, let's figure out a way to make it happen for you. We have a website, braincodecenters.com. Either of those places you can fill out an inquiry and get signed up for a consultation. I do probably 75% of the consultations. My business partner, Rachel, does. That was probably more like 40, 60. So you're gonna have to meet one of us if you wanna start with Braincode Centers.
Oh, well, that's amazing because they're meeting with the best.
That's it, honestly, it's one of those that, you know, do we have all the time to do all the consultations? Not necessarily. But it's such a passion project for us that it, you know, kind of over our cold dead hands will we not do all the education for the company. So we love meeting with people. We love talking more about neurofeedback and how it can help someone.
So something that's so fascinating is there are now new vibrators coming out, everybody. Now, I know people have heard about the vibrators where your partner can control it, and that's really fun. So get this. We're now having those type of vibrators be created where your brain is involved and your partner can control your vibrate. I mean, you're the expert here. Tell me a little bit about that and what that means with what you're doing at the Braincode Centers and how that helps people.
Isn't that amazing? So first off, sex can be kind of, you know, a taboo topic. And really, I mean, it's incredible that we're able to experience pleasure with our partner through brainwave activity. So the way that kind of this device works is that the person, so the partner who does not have the device actually has to get into a relaxed alpha state for the vibrator to work for their partner. So it's literally challenging your brain to be able to get into a place of calm, to a place of relaxation. If you're sitting there and you're lit up and you're feeling stressed or you're feeling anxious, your partner is not going to be able to experience any pleasure. So truly, once you get relaxed, they can get relaxed.
Oh, that's so cool. And something else that is really amazing about what you do is like how it improves relationships. So talk to me a little bit about that approach as well.
So much. I have so many couples and even families that come in and are wanting to do basically neurofeedback as healing for their family structures. So as children, you know, we can have early trauma, different things happen where then that affects our attachment style, anxious, avoidant, disorganized, you know, congruent attachment style. So essentially, we're going to see those in patterns in the brain. If someone has trauma, whether that's later PTSD trauma, whether that's, you know, early childhood trauma, all of those things show themselves within different patterns, which show themselves in attachment styles. So rather than, this kind of goes back to the software hardware, rather than maybe going to couples counseling and we're talking about it and we're talking about it and we're kind of beating a dead horse, if you will, why won't you change your patterns? We need to look at the brain. Where do those patterns start from in the first place? And how do we address it here, which will then affect behavior, but ultimately we have to start from, you know, kind of the ground up and work there.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Angie.
Yes, thank you.
Okay guys, if you missed Chicago, if you missed Los Angeles, it's okay, no panic, because we have the same event in Miami early November. Really come, it's an amazing community. We learned so much, and even so, even if you think you're a biohacker who knows everything, believe me, you will learn something in Miami.